Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the daily podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And I'm Jamie Benning.
Welcome back, Jamie.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, and you.
We can't keep you away from these minutes. They're too exciting.
They're just getting better, aren't they?
You know what? They actually are. Like this one, minute 88, which begins with the soldier on top of the truck losing his cap, and it ends with Indiana Jones climbing under the speeding truck.
Now, at the very beginning here, when the Nazi truck captain's hat flies off, he immediately looks like a dad.
That is perfect. That is the
Right?
perfect way to describe
Yeah. He looks like a dad furiously packing the trunk to finally go on vacation.
I was gonna as a bald man myself, I have kids, and if I was on the top of a truck and my last piece of cover just flew off, I'm very pasty as well. I'm gonna get terrible sunburn. I would be that annoyed too.
Yeah, he's kind of upset, and like Jesus, that too.
Yeah, like he's somehow blaming his ne'er-do-well kids for his cap flying off. God damn it. Trying to stop the American from stealing the Ark, and they let my cap fly off.
Was that serendipitous? Like
What
in
do
the
you mean?
filming? Or were they like, okay, you're going to get on top of the truck, and then we want you to lift your head up a little bit so the wind catches the cap and blows it off?
For some reason, it feels to me like it was planned. Like, I guess the part of me that thinks there's no way his hat was going to stay on anyway, or if they like shot parts of this out of sequence or something.
Maybe there's a fishing line attached.
Good
whip it up.
point. Yeah.
Movie magic.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it builds the tension of like, oh, the truck is racing down the desert,
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
And some German-Italian dad is going to try to stop Indiana
Yeah.
Jones.
And everyone else has failed. Everyone else in the truck has failed.
It's kind of like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got alopecia, and it's really. I guarantee there's a fan that's already checked out Tunisia. Where is it? Tazua. This was shot near Nefta, and I bet there's somebody who already, searched the area for that. And we've just ruined it by saying it might have been on a fishing pole.
I'm going to go look for that hat. Which, by the way, the landscape is again immediately back to barren.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
maybe he was back there, 45 minutes going, all right, all the other guys went up on the side. How am I going to do this?
Or is this like a Scooby-Doo background where they just keep passing the same thing over and over?
Right.
He's
Diddly,
found his
diddly,
exit on the roundabout. He's on the right road now.
So I got to say, I mean, outside of the bald mechanic Pat Roach's knee-buckling fist to Indy's mouth from a couple of minutes ago, the punches to Indy's wounded arm,
Oh my God.
Yeah, they still hurt me.
Yeah.
oh, they're the
It's
most
cruel.
like gonad-clutching, painful strikes to watch.
He actually does like a double take.
Yeah.
The attack
Yeah.
of Angry Old Dad, like, oh, that's where I can get him.
Oh, it's horrible to watch. And, there's a lot of punches in this movie. Some deflected and some caught and some absorbed and a bunch landed. But these three by that furious Nazi dad are just hideous. Because, he takes like such a sadistic pleasure in inflicting pain onto that wounded arm.
Yeah.
It's just like grotesque. I don't know if that's worse than that one hammer to his lower lip, though.
It's funny because somebody was just saying like, "Oh, nobody else could stop him," and now this Nazi dad's gonna. And it's kind of like that for a while. It's like, "Oh, this guy knows what he's doing. He's kind of vicious and brutal, and he might just get this job done." Oh no, we're in
It's an
trouble.
absolute masterclass in editing here because there's just that little moment where Indy just holds his wound, so we're reminded it's still fresh and it's really hurting him. And he's fallible, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I always wonder if Mercedes sponsored this this sequence. I think every 4 seconds there's a Mercedes badge.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, is this right when people started wearing those Mercedes hood ornaments as necklaces?
Probably true. I have a note here that my note just says he throws Indy through the window, and this is the best movie I've ever seen. There's something so viscerally. I'm not on this guy's side. I don't want Indy to lose, but this is so incredibly just. Oh my God, this guy's getting the job done in such a vicious way.
That just made my back hurt so bad. Like, could you actually physically do that? Because he's sitting next to him sideways.
Yeah.
And imagine like the torque. He somehow throws him not only through the windshield, but all the way across the hood.
Oh my God.
Like, would that be possible?
You just saw it happen. I guess it's possible. You can't deny that.
You know what's crazy is like when the guy does this, the Nazi dad does this chaotic, like, I'm gonna get this done and I'm gonna go, and he throws him out the windshield and he's going bananas.
Yeah.
And then he looks ahead and he sees his boss,
Right.
and he's like, oh, let me, let me see what they'd like me to do here.
Orders?
And he kind of contains his gorilla-like nature, his inner dad gorilla. And he's like, oh, I should follow orders and speed up, just like they're asking me to do.
Yeah.
He was supposed to get out of work early, and it's just all mounting up on him at this point. I always, for years, I was trying to read what was behind him on my VHS because I thought, does that mean something? Is he going to do something? But of course he doesn't. All that is my German friends tell me that means emergency and maintenance equipment. Now, why that occupies quite a big bit of the frame there, I don't know.
No, I looked that up too, but maintenance actually looks like it's misspelled.
Oh,
So
the German maintenance is misspelled?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was like, oh, we got to, like, these English guys are like, I think it's like this.
What is on the trunk of their the trunk of their car and the Nazis there? What is all that equipment? Is it the record player and the
Somebody should have labeled this.
chairs?
Totes dress.
Yeah. We talk. It's Belloc's beautiful linens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His linen pants and his.
And a series of dresses for any women he might come across.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe some of his wine or the hard stuff. A little bit of the
Always
hard
be
stuff.
prepared.
Yeah. Bunch of chapeaux.
The shot of Indy on the hood, like, ripping off grasping the Mercedes symbol and having it fall off. I think this is the first image of this movie I remember seeing because it was in the first commercial I ever saw. And I thought that it was about cowboys. I saw him with his hat. You don't really see his face at all. You just see his head. I'm like, oh, there's a movie about cowboys, apparently. And the guy from Jaws and the guy from Star Wars made a movie about a cowboy. Okay. I'm a kid. You got me.
To me, this is definitely one of those moments I can identify with. Like, every time he grabs something else, like, this one's going to work. And then that one bends. And he's like, no, this one's going to work. And then that one bends. And like, he can't get a break. Like,
That
every
does
single
suck.
Yeah.
Like, oh, metal. I'm safe. Oh.
I thought, what is so compelling about minute 88 is that it's really a tables or turned minute, and this entire arc cavalcade chase sequence, reminds us that we must remain thoughtful and present. Life is precious.
At any minute, you can get crushed between the truck you're hanging on the front of and a convertible.
Yeah,
If
no,
you're
I
not
was thinking,
careful.
look, 1 minute you're pulling up to Indy with a freshly cocked car machine gun, looking forward to that corner office promotion. And the next minute you're sailing down the Grand Canyon abyss.
Yeah.
And then if you're Indy, it's 1 minute you're having a ball giving Nazis coconut rug burns. And the next minute your own coconuts are getting tickled by four-wheel drive.
Because the last time he pulls that face, as he's grasping there, the last time he pulls that face is when he's grabbing the vine in the temple at the start. And then, of course, he has to dive under a door. This time he has to dive under a truck. I mean,
Right.
Yeah. Well, and he's sitting there like spread eagle, like inches away from a rotating truck tire that's like sawing its way to his.
and the great thing is that is Harrison right there. And it's,
Yeah.
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 I mean, you better have those insured, Harrison.
There's when I was watching him straddling this tire like this, and my favorite music in the movie is still going, I realize you can hear the music saying, "Oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, what's gonna happen?" Did it?
All right. You ruined that one for me. You got me back on that truck, Tommy.
Well, thank you. And all of you out there, you're welcome.
There is, I think I've seen a behind the scenes thing where they actually built a little seat for him here.
Oh, really?
There's
I
actually a
hope
little
so.
seat coming out of the front of the truck that he's sitting on.
Yeah.
It's like a piece of plywood with a little seat on there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. I'm looking at it. When you look at the view that Belloc sees, I mean, Indy is so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just hanging on as a tiny little guy, like, and his back is fully exposed and his nuts are up against the wheel. I mean, it's horrible.
Do you think that we were discussing at the Well of Souls when Indy got locked up in there? Do you think that if this had worked and they had crushed to death Indiana Jones between Belloc's convertible and this truck, do you think, from Belloc's point of view, would that be as good of a kiss off to Indiana Jones as the Well of Souls?
Oh, no.
As long as he didn't get blood on his fine linen.
That's an excellent point. And he
Yeah,
almost
that's
certainly
true.
would have.
There was something really symbolic about the Well of the Souls sort of
That
thing. And he
was.
gives the whole the whole speech about the timepiece and his watch and, bury it's worthless and, but bury it for 1,000 years and it's,
Yeah.
priceless.
That was
and-
special.
Yeah. He'd have to come up with a big, long speech on this one.
Yeah.
While the truck's accelerating to his
Yeah.
to his wardrobe.
Well, Indy might not have died immediately. He'd be crushed, but maybe he'd have a lot of internal damage and bleeding and stuff. So, the driver could have kept him pinned there, and Belloc could be like, Indiana Jones, let's talk for a second, you and me. It's kind of like with his arm around him,
Maybe that's what the GoPro was for. Like that was for Belloc's speech.
He wants to capture his final moments with Indiana Jones.
Belloc's not even paying attention. I mean, who's driving actually? No, okay, I'm looking on the wrong side of the car.
It's just some dude driving.
It's the
some
sunburnt
sunburnt
guy.
dude.
Yeah.
yeah.
A very unlucky dude.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the Road Warrior, for some reason, the shot here, the German dad gets his orders, his signals from the convertible, and he shifts gears and then
Yeah.
lays on the gas. And for some reason, that is a direct connection to the Road Warrior for me.
That is
But,
a bugbear for me as a person that's grown up in Europe, where we have manual gear cars, stick shift, as you guys would say, I guess. There's always another gear in the movies. There's always another gear. And I'm already going fast, but if I put my foot down just a little more and moved up to this spare gear, 25th gear.
The Hulk Hogan gear. I'm already beat. I'm not going to win this race. But if I go into the Hulk Hogan gear, I'll suddenly find more speed, and I'll be able to defeat these guys.
Well, and it's the same. If you shoot the lock, it's gonna open.
Yeah, we've established that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
flawless.
once tried to count the gear changes on the motorbike in Terminator 2. Because I was sure that bike shouldn't have 37 gears.
Well, does that do it for minute 88?
A great minute.
It is. And you know what? We said this yesterday, but I think tomorrow's minute might even be better. I don't know. This movie is... I meant to say this a while ago at the beginning of this truck chase, but when I saw this movie in the theater recently, for the first time in a long time, it struck... Like, you always hear about, like, oh yeah, this movie is a throwback to the serials and a cliffhanger every minute. But by the time this truck chase starts, you're like... God, like a minute ago, he just had a huge death-defying fight with a big Otto von Brutus guy, and a plane blew up and everything. And just before that, he was trapped in the Well of Souls. Like, watching the movie that time in the theater, I was like, oh my God, this is really like thing upon thing upon thing. Like, they're just not letting up. This is incredible.
One of the things I was going to say from a kind of making of point of view, of course, Mickey Moore shot a lot of these scenes with this chase. And what strikes me is there's very little movement of the camera. Most of the shots just stay there and the action moves through the shot. I think that he was given the storyboards and he just shot the storyboards, you know?
Yeah.
He didn't use his own sort of creativity, maybe, because I remember hearing Mickey Moore saying that Spielberg never once said, oh, maybe you could shoot this again. He was happy with the dailies that he saw, which, of course, back then had to be sent back to London, then back to Tunisia.
Oh, my God.
Imagine the wait. It must have been agonizing.
Yeah, really. I hope it worked. That's interesting, because that sounds like in broad strokes, that's how they describe the difference between Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. That George Lucas is like, just get the shots on film and I'll make a movie out of it in the editing room. Mm-hmm. And Spielberg is more like setting up shots and action within the shots and movement and stuff. And so that's kind of interesting.
Well, that's what's great. I mean, when you watch this scene, it's not, you're like, that's a guy really doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would this scene look like if they did it now? It would suck.
Stop it.
We know what it would look like.
Yeah.
I think we do, actually.
And, somebody would say, like, that's for Marcus or something. And then, that's for Abner.
Give my regards to Marrakesh.
When he punches him in the arm, the blood would hit the camera.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'd be in slow motion,
flare.
too.
Yeah.
Well, Pete, where can people get in touch with us to let us know that they're in touch with us?
You can check us out on IndianaJonesMinute.com. Look in our library section for a link to Jamie's excellent filmumentary. And from there, definitely look up his other stuff. And you can find our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, any place you find podcasts.
And I hope that everybody in this room and listening to us can come back tomorrow for minute 89 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
We all need to be present. I mean, the tables can turn just like that,
Find that next highest gear. And then crush a human being between your truck and another car.